I'm just finishing a picture of John Bercow, the former Speaker of the Houses of the House of Commons, and I was thinking if I wanted a title for this, it would be sort of Promises, Promises. And Bercow made a promise when he was still Speaker of the House of Commons. He said that he wasn't going to take the pension, which would amount to about £35,000 a year. And he wasn't going to do this until he was 65 because he was quite young to be retiring. And David Cameron had already led the way by saying that he wasn't going to take his pension, which he was entitled to. Now, of course, since then, Boris has made sure that Bercow didn't end up in the House of Lords. I think that's a little bit cheap of Boris, and I'm sorry about that. You know, there is a tradition there. But equally, if you make a promise, you keep it. And his wife Sally, apparently, according to an article today, persuaded Bercow at the end of his term to change his mind and take his pension. Now, I've double-checked because I was thinking, oh, maybe Bercow came to the end of his time when Theresa May was still Prime Minister, or when Boris was. In fact, it was when Boris was. Bercow finished 10 years in office on the 4th of November. And I'm slightly vague about this because at the time I had been in a television programme called The Circle. I'd been sort of locked up to come out to this election fever. And Mrs May resigned on the 24th of July 2019. So of course, it was Boris in control when Bercow stepped down. But the fact that Bercow doesn't keep his promises, and he could turn around and say, well, he's not keeping his promises because other people don't keep their promises. But it just doesn't work for me. Because other people aren't behaving well, it doesn't mean that you can behave badly. And actually, there's so many other things which are dodgy about Mr. Bercow. For example, he dodged capital gains tax by designating and redesignating what his second home was during, all this emerged during the 2009 expenses scandal, and subsequently he paid, I think, he paid £6,500 in back tax. And then there was the extraordinarily expensive journey for less than a mile. Less than a mile, the Speaker charged £172 for this journey. And there's a fellow called Andy Sylvester, I think, who said it was an obscene waste of money. Absolutely an obscene waste of money. That was in 2015. And then actually, my nemesis really, Mr. Farage. Mr. Farage said, that man, Bercow, represents all that is wrong in British politics. And he was embroiled, I think, he was embroiled in the expenses saga and presides over a parliament that does absolutely nothing, or virtually nothing, I think probably was his line, does virtually nothing. And as if that wasn't enough, there's also all those bullying allegations, and from Andrew Sinclair, and then there was a person called Kathy somebody or other, and then the fellow who had been Black Rod, David Leakey. These are just shocking stories of a really questionable time. Bercow also, at the moment, he sort of attracted headlines because he's converted from the Conservative Party to the Labour Party. Well, in that, he's simply following what his wife did. His wife, Sally, converted from the Conservative Party to the Labour Party. She wasn't always a member of the Labour Party. And I mean, he doesn't follow everything that she's done. As far as I know, he hasn't had an affair with his cousin. But I mean, he has been involved in fairly odd television offers. I mean, I think he was going to be an "I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here," which I must say I've never actually seen, so I shouldn't be that sort of dismissive of it. I know that he was approached by GBTV and he did some effectively a screen test for them, and now he turns up in a program called Unicorn Hunters, and this is a form of enrichtainment, where ordinary people are given the opportunity through reality TV to become rich. I would caution them that this is likely to be. They might become rich, but it'll be at their own expense, and you know, reality TV comes with its own set of problems. He's going to be part of a thing called the Circle of Money. It's not a circle I recognise anyway. On the positive side, it's apparently going to target minority groups, and he's going to give opportunity to minority groups, and that must be positive. So this is going to be a minority group Dragon's Den, and it's going to be with a fellow called Lance Bass. He's the fellow who was featured in the American series of the series 2 of The Circle, when Lance Bass's assistant, a lady called Lisa, pretended to be her boss. You hear sort of stories about that, but I don't know. She didn't win. And she was so much better when she was pretending to be somebody else later on in the show. I don't know what conclusions I draw about this, except I find it so distressing that every time I look at a newspaper, every time I check the news, there's another story on there emerging about people in power who cannot be trusted. And I think the first thing that one should be doing in power is to be trusted. So we've got all these examples. We've got now we've got Bercow, as if we didn't know that he couldn't be trusted. We've got Matt Hancock, you know, with his wandering hands, and there's we are the Diddy Men. We are the Diddy Men. Yes, you know, what's he searching for? I mean, you could imagine Gina Coladangelo saying, "Oh, is that your tickling stick? Oh, missus." And then you've got Boris himself, and I don't want to land on a sour note, but I feel when we have such a shambles in power, we have to start questioning what has happened to our system. At the same time, as we look across at other countries, there are other issues which I hope I will talk about. I'm going to talk about them tomorrow, actually. Other issues which I think are probably, I hesitate to say they're more important, but they are greatly significant. And you know, we can't get on our high horse here, because what we are presenting to the world is sordid and scurrilous, and I find that really regrettable. You know, so we can't look across at what's happening at the moment with the Navalny case and with Navalny's lawyers and people, lawyers who are working for people who are caught up in the Navalny situation. We can't look across at them and we can say, oh, from our position of strength, from our position of being morally superior, we're not morally superior. We are in the gutter. We are in the gutter with Putin and all these other cronies. And we need to crawl out of the gutter. We need to gain some sort of sense. And if the people who are in power at the moment aren't able to raise their heads above the gutter, then probably they need to be replaced. And I cannot believe I'm saying that. But anyway, please sign up to my to my thingy, Zontal Films Limited. Ring the bell. Which side is it? It's over there. I think it's over there. Ring that bell, and I'm sure there's going to be many more of these. Also drop into animate-tim.com, animate-tim.com, and you'll see you'll see pictures like this of Mr. Bercow. This is one I've just done here. There we are. Have fun. Bye bye. Good night.